11 actors who were famously well endowed in old Hollywood. What lengths did the movie industry go to conceal certain proportions from audiences? Miracle tablets for a teenage companion, horsehair-stuffed silk undergarments for a crooner, emergency seamstress calls at 3 a.m., and a 7-figure insurance contract protecting an 80s rocker's most legendary feature. A Jungle King's loincloth almost gave way. A boy wonder's cloak served double duty as cover. Frank Sinatra allegedly destroyed fabric nightly. Milton Berle strategically revealed just what was necessary, and a bashful psycho leading man supposedly harbored nothing timid beneath the surface. Tonight, we unwrap 11 myths the movie moguls desperately tried to conceal. One stone-faced action hero, one dashing swordsman who tickled piano keys without fingers, and that glam-rock performer with the insured secret prove that in Hollywood, hidden truths tower over anything displayed on theater screens. Buckle up, we're going deep. Number 11, David Lee Roth, Diamond Dave, the 7-figure protection plan. Diamond Dave wasn't just boasting, he secured coverage. During Van Halen's wildest years, he allegedly purchased a $1 million protection policy for his most talked-about attribute: legitimate documentation or publicity stunt. Roth never squashed the speculation. He smirked, flourished contracts backstage, and dubbed it safeguarding the merchandise. Roadies joked they weren't merely transporting amplifiers, they were protecting corporate assets. Lycra so snug it groaned, aerial splits that challenged physics, and double entendres woven into every media appearance. Roth mastered showmanship. While Golden Age Hollywood stuffed horsehair into undergarments, the MTV generation simply cut premium checks and challenged anyone to exceed it. Number 10, Anthony Perkins, the bashful psycho with a bold underground reputation. Anthony Perkins mastered fragility like few others. Anxious glances, stooped posture, that threadbare voice breaking on mother. Behind the cameras, however, Hollywood's gossip machine spun completely different tales. Tab hunter, Perkins's intermittent romantic interest, privately quipped that Tony's timidity stopped at the waistline. Psycho crew members noticed wardrobe adjustments that seemed peculiarly meticulous for someone wearing cardigans and slacks. One seamstress swore she received orders to compress the profile like she was pressing laundry. Perkins lived in terror of exposure. The studio feared scandal about the scandal. Universal's publicity director maintained a folder actually marked "A Shield Reputation," crammed with articles celebrating boyish appeal and wholesome character. Meanwhile, Perkins deflected relationship inquiries with stutters so charming that journalists switched off recording equipment from sympathy. If only they'd understood the speculation swirling beyond their interview booths. When he eventually wed Barry Berenson, some acquaintances whispered it was professional protection, while others winked that she wouldn't have married him without knowing precisely what awaited. The paradox intensified the gossip. How could Hollywood's most anxious performer possess the physical confidence that made veteran playboys take notice? Perkins attempted escape through acting, but myths don't disappear, they spread. Speaking of ripples, our next subject glided through Hollywood like a predator in slow motion. Number 9, Robert Mitchum, the half-speed heartbreaker who never needed to boast. Robert Mitchum rarely accelerated beyond a drawl, yet whispers suggest nothing about him moved at half pace. Colleagues nicknamed him the Long Goodbye for reasons beyond his crime film reputation. During Out of the Past filming, a camera technician joked that the actual shadow on the wall wasn't cast by window blinds. Mitchum dismissed everything: police raids, studio scoldings, and speculation about his apparatus with identical lazy grins. He relished the contradiction. Press agents wanted to manufacture a cowboy intellectual image. Mitchum would enter interviews, ignite a cigarette, exhale slowly, and deadpan, "Question me about something worth fabricating." Costume departments did their best. Thicker fabric, darker trousers, and strategically positioned belts. Nevertheless, a set photographer in the 1950s supposedly needed to airbrush a promotional photo because the frame wouldn't cooperate. Set folklore describes him daring a colleague to midnight skinny dipping, then strolling through the hotel lobby, wearing only a towel, held casually at hip level. The desk clerk, a student earning spending money, allegedly dropped the room keys and requested an autograph without glancing up. Mitchum signed, winked, and remarked, "Look up, kid. The picture's higher." Quiet menace was his specialty. Quiet anything else was the rumor. But discretion doesn't describe our next character, whose prominence was so obvious, a director supposedly banished him from set for disrupting the workforce. Number 8, John Ireland, the distraction that hijacked the frame. John Ireland embodied the supporting player who perpetually appeared to harbor secrets, and according to legend, concealment proved impossible. During Red River production, a camera dolly operator complained that whenever they tracked leftward, the focus puller lost the skyline because Ireland's horizon kept expanding. Director Howard Hawks famously tolerated no nonsense. Rumor claims he eventually roared, "Remove him from my shot until he masters discretion." Ireland never achieved superstardom, but his mythology thrived in Hollywood margins. Background players exchanged tales of custom-tailored pants sewn with additional muslin layers, as though his wardrobe required its own stand-in. One costume designer joked about creating a censorship shield, but settled for reinforced seams. Another claimed Ireland got yanked from a close-up because the sound engineer couldn't stop chuckling. He maintained composure. When questioned about rumors, Ireland would smile. Audiences should discuss the performance, then walk away, leaving queries suspended. Years afterward, his name still appears on Hollywood's most impressive compilations precisely because he never took the bait. Mystery ultimately nourishes legend. If a secondary cowboy could unnerve a director, imagine the chaos when a 5'5" comedian in a derby inspired equally oversized whispers. Number 7, Charles Chaplin. Diminutive tramp, massive paradox. Charlie Chaplin's entire character depended on littleness, the restrictive jacket, the pencil mustache, the delicate waddle. That's why Louise Brooks's observation, enormously gifted, struck like thunder. The juxtaposition made the legend irresistible. How could the performer, who shuffled like clockwork, supposedly carry such a different kind of conductor's baton? Chaplin worshipped control on sets. He commanded pace, composition, even background extra rhythms. Wardrobe formed part of that control, every thread a choice. If whispers hold truth, he also demanded specific layers beneath baggy trousers to keep the little tramp appropriately mysterious. A wardrobe assistant later claimed they inserted fabric scraps in reverse, not for enhancement, but for concealment. He wasn't exactly prudish privately. Romantic scandals lined up like movie credits, and the age differences triggered lawsuits and headlines. Behind closed doors, friends described him as playful, outrageous, and completely unconcerned with modesty. One dinner party guest recalled Chaplin playfully wielding a breadstick to demonstrate his secondary walking stick, sending Gloria Swanson into uncontrollable laughter. Chaplin's image still adorns coffee mugs and college posters, but the off-screen mythology keeps internet creators busy, yet even he didn't baptize his blessing. That distinction belongs to the towering TV cowboy ahead, who christened his equipment with an actual title. Number 6, Forrest Tucker, the Chief. The Chief returns to action. Forrest Tucker didn't whisper. He christened it. The Chief became Hollywood code for anything unmanageable, from studio meltdowns to runaway stallions. At George Cukor's famous poolside gatherings, Tucker would cannonball into deep water and surface to ovations unrelated to his theatrical credits. Standing 6'4" and broad-shouldered, directors already requested larger shots, but wardrobe supervisors groaned upon seeing his casting notices. White riding breeches in anti-mame allegedly triggered minor chaos in the studio secretarial pool. The photograph got duplicated so frequently the image faded to ghostly gray. During another production, trouser seams split mid-scene. Tucker simply laughed, covered himself with a prop horse blanket, and completed the take. He thrived on competition. Friends remembered measurement challenges at rap celebrations. Tucker supposedly declared, "Only bring measuring tape if you're prepared to surrender." One unfortunate spa visitor reportedly peeked beneath Tucker's towel, shrieked, "The Grand Canyon!" and bolted, or so legend claims. Accurate? Likely embellished. But mythology grows this way. A drop of truth, an ocean of exaggeration. Boldness defined Tucker's persona. Our next cowboy, however, spent fortunes camouflaging his. Audiences swooned regardless. Number 5. Gary Cooper, America's Eagle Scout with a cover-up budget. Gary Cooper could melt hearts with a glance and sell innocence with a single "yep." Behind the scenes, damage control specialists scrubbed, starched, and spun to maintain his image spotless as fresh snow. The Lupe Velez quote, "Hollywood's biggest instrument, but no symphony to accompany it," circulated faster than wire service reports. Cooper's handlers retaliated by saturating fan publications with hunting expedition photos, church social snapshots, and bashful smiles. Costume records read like technical blueprints, denser denim, reinforced zipper construction, strategically positioned pocket squares for perspiration that coincidentally disrupted certain silhouettes. During the Westerner, a camera aide noted marginally, "Employ telephoto lens. Avoid frontal three-quarter when approaching camera." Translation: "Don't let viewers focus there." Patricia Neal, who adored him passionately and suffered accordingly, once suggested that Cooper's appeal was a constant challenge to endure. Another co-star joked that horseback sequences required double continuity monitoring, one for hats, one for additional concerns. Throughout everything, Cooper remained silent, almost modest. He never confirmed, he simply never encouraged the speculation. Which introduces us to someone who relished encouraging speculation, myth creation, and every taboo within reach. No socks, no shame, and absolutely no undergarments. Number 4. Marlon Brando. Method performance, complete immodesty. Marlon Brando rejected limitations, emotional, political, or clothing related. He treated underwear like authoritarian oppression. During Sayonara filming, costume creators added concealed weights and strategic adjustments to prevent silk robes from clinging too precisely. Brando cut them away with scissors and announced, "Movement freedom is contractual." He possessed wicked humor. During a press conference, a journalist inquired about gossip regarding his abundant proportions. Brando reclined, widened his stance, and responded, "You publish what profits, sweetheart." Another occasion, when a microphone boom dipped into frame, he paused mid-dialogue and quipped, "Careful, you'll frighten it," dissolving the crew in laughter. The mythology became academic too. Biographers studied wardrobe memorandums from Last Tango, observing how camera positioning was determined by comfort parameters. Friends rolled their eyes. Brando's comfort parameters were infinite. Quincy Jones's notorious "male box" comment revived the rumor for newer generations, and Brando, predictably, merely smirked. That fearless abandon prepared the ground for a swashbuckler whose party performance blurred lines between musicianship and mythology. Meet the pirate who played piano in ways no instructor ever taught. Number 3, Errol Flynn, the buccaneer who performed "You Are My Sunshine" with alternative methods. Errol Flynn was crafted from mischief, stunning looks, reckless grin, an appetite for chaos that made studio attorneys age rapidly. The tale that refuses to die. At a Hollywood soiree, Flynn allegedly leaped onto a piano bench, announced a performance, and proceeded to caress the keys using nothing but anatomy. He struck the tune perfectly, took applause, and poured another cocktail. Whether you accept the recital or not, the 1942 trial cemented Flynn's hedonistic reputation. He was cleared, but, unlike Flynn, entered popular vocabulary for good reason. Costume budgets for his adventure films always included flexibility allowance for sword belts, but among insiders, that terminology became ongoing comedy. Cinematographers learned to shift focus to actual blades quickly. Flynn embraced it. His memoir literally labels himself a walking phallic representation. He spoke with half remorse, half satisfaction. Even decades later, actresses remembered him with mixed dread and affection. One reflected, he entered rooms like gossip spreads, softly, then suddenly omnipresent. Gossip omnipresent, evidence nowhere, except possibly in FBI archives. Before we crown our vocalist and our comedian, we have one more colossal rumor with federal connections. Number 2, Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board and the alterations department. Frank Sinatra weaponized enigma. Taylor Sy DeVore crafted custom silk undergarments lined with horsehair to maintain old Blue Eyes' dignity under blazing spotlights. Frank cherished sharp silhouettes, but despised wardrobe disasters more. Assistants claimed they transported emergency trousers like bodyguards carry communication devices. Ava Gardner's legendary crack. He weighs 110 pounds, 10 of it strategically located. Burst open doors, Rat Pack members only nudged. Dean Martin stuffed his pants for a comedy bit once. Sinatra noticed, arched an eyebrow, and the entire routine collapsed in hysterics. George Jacobs, Frank's personal attendant, swore he discarded slaughtered silk into special containers after performances, seams and elastic, destroyed by sheer, vigor. But Sinatra could also show shyness about it. Before taking the stage, he'd pace, hat angled low, rehearsing lyrics softly. The moment curtains rose, the swagger activated. Perhaps that contradiction, private anxiety, public confidence, made the legend endure. Fans witnessed the swagger and assumed everything else corresponded. Swagger is one matter. Branding it permanently is another. The gentleman at number 1 transformed rumor into trademark, punchline, paycheck, and posthumously remains the measuring stick. Number 1, Milton Berle, sufficient to triumph. Milton Berle didn't flee from the joke. He authored it. Vaudeville performers challenged each other in grimy backstage restrooms. Berle, legend claims, would begin unfastening, and someone would yell, "Milton only reveal enough to triumph." He'd grin and oblige. Victory consistently. Television attempted to domesticate him. Wardrobe stitched his trousers from heavy wool, vertical stripes, to confuse perception. During a live broadcast, Berle executed a high kick. Producers panicked and switched to commercial slides. So rapidly, the jingle started late. He found this hilarious and promptly recounted the story on talk shows for decades. Even in his 80s, Uncle Milty preserved the mythology. He signed measuring instruments, mailed Johnny Carson gag foam novelties shaped like punctuation marks, and answered intrusive interviewers with, "I possess evidence." When the 2024 ensemble production about Saturday Night Live cast J.K. Simmons as Burley, the prosthetics team reportedly had to modify equipment to prevent accidental comic distortion. Uncle Milty would have treasured that. Technology scrambling to match a punchline he created before television existed. Berle grasped something few performers ever do. If audiences will discuss you regardless, provide them an unforgettable line, and control the story eternally. Speculation is Hollywood's oldest magic trick. These 11 gentlemen didn't merely perform. They sparked seamstress innovations, legal documentation, midnight calls to censors, and whispers that survived their studio deals. Some attempted to suppress the chatter, some magnified it, and a few, like Berle, converted it into lifelong entertainment. Which tale made you gasp? Was it Chaplin's tiny tramp, enormous surprise? Brando's rejection of anything confining? Sinatra's horsehair undergarments? Share your choice in the comments. And if you enjoy excavating the scandals Hollywood attempted to conceal, smash that subscribe button, because the next controversy might be hiding behind a silk glove, not inside trousers.